Welcome to the JAMODI Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
The JAMODI Podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
You've been at 3 different stops with Coach Lanier, and that's incredible. I can't imagine how valuable how much he values you, and just you mentioned before, like continuity, the stability to change and go to a new program, but to have you. And so it's like you guys together and maybe others on your staff too. But what is it about him that has made you want to continue to work for him as jobs change?
Yeah, first and foremost, it is our whole staff, Justin Crow, Andre Owens, Jordan Glover, our whole staff, Jeff Martin, Jack Schumann, top to bottom. And we have 2 incredible GAs that are well on their way to doing awesome things. But I think first and foremost, as an assistant coach, it's about who you work for. And to me, when I say that, it's not just the basketball coach, it's the person. My family, my faith and my family are the 2 most important things to me. So when I wake up every day working for Coach Lanier, I know that he knows that those things are important to me, and that means a lot to me. And I'm able to be the father, the husband that I know I need to be. At the same time, he knows I'm going to get the work done. He knows our staff is going to work together in he empowers each one of us to be the best that we can be. He wants us all to be head coaches one day. He wants us all to accomplish our goals. So when you work for someone like that, I mean, how don't you sell out and give your very best? And
Yeah.
I think the same way that we want our players to feel is how our staff right now feels about working for him.
I tried to jot down a few of those things because I want to be a coach that others working with me feel like, and this is kind of the list I got. So if I miss something, kind of help me out here, but he knows who you are as a person and values that, right? Like you're a person of faith and your family's important. Well, then him valuing that, not putting more stress on your life or, maybe leading in a way that is contrary to what you believe. Like I got to imagine that's huge. And then, like you said, empowering you to feel like it's your program. What are some of those things that he does, like with you and other assistant coaches, that makes you feel empowered?
Yeah, we've kind of leaned the last couple of years into the coordinator thing, so, whether it's offense, defense.
Which side are you?
And so he has me focused on the offensive side.
Nice.
And so, right next door, Justin Crow, for the last couple of years, he's been on the defensive side, and Andre Owens now with us offensively, and Jordan Glover now defensively. So he's reassigning this year's staff in those ways and kind of putting us in buckets. But the beautiful thing about our staff is that once you move the pieces around and we say, okay, here's how we're organized, it's seamless because there's no egos in our office and guys are all in on the same page. We all want what's best for Coach Lanier's program here at Rice. And so I think offensively, let's just say for me, I'll do whatever he asks me to do that day, and I'm ready to adjust and pivot. Hey, pre-practice, do this, this, and this. He'll walk in the office and say, 1, 2, 3, write it down, got it, let's go. I think you just have to be ready to carry out whatever the order is that day, and you have to be ready to give your opinion when it's asked for and needed. And he really pushed us, you said the word empower, but he pushes us to treat it like it's our own. And that's kind of allowed us, I'll just speak for our whole staff, to really grow as coaches and develop our own coaching voice on the floor.
You've been around so many great coaches and leaders. You talked a little bit about Coach Lanier. If you had to choose 3 characteristics, and maybe some of those kind of blend from what we just talked about, what would those be from great leaders and coaches?
Yeah, I've worked for some really good ones. Like, I don't even know, I'd have to go through each one, but Paul Hewitt, Dan Earl, Vince Alexander, Charlton Young, now Rob Lanier, Scott Para, first time at Rice here, I work with him. So all of them characterized by, I would say, like 3 things stick out to me when I think of really, you use the word great head coaches. I'd say you have to be an inspiring teacher. So not just a teacher, but an inspiring teacher. I think, I used to teach Spanish actually in high school, and I don't know how good of a Spanish teacher I was, but I was passionate about Spanish because I grew up in Colombia, South America. And so I tried to find a way to relate Spanish to a group of middle schoolers sometimes or high schoolers that I know weren't interested. And so I had to find a way to be inspiring and teach Spanish, but in our case, teach basketball, which made me be a learner of Spanish and now basketball. So lifelong learner, inspiring teacher, I would say. Number 2, servant leader. I think if you're not serving your players, your staff, like we were talking about, Coach Lanier serves us. He really does. So he's a servant leader. But then I would say authentic. So I rattled off a list of the guys that I've worked for. They're all different. They're all great head coaches, but they're all different, and they all are a unique, authentic version of themselves that I, as an assistant coach, have to lean into, find my lane in being authentic. And if I'm ever fortunate to be a head coach, same thing, you got to be yourself.
Hannah Baker said, you can't coach what you don't possess. And it's an interesting thing to think about, because if that's true, or if we're kind of look at that black and white, well, if I'm not inspiring, if that's just not something that I bring, or if I don't have energy and enthusiasm, I'm just not wired that way. Well, can I ever become that? Right? If I don't possess it already. So I think that I get what he's saying, but I also think we can, with reps and it being intentional, grow. How do you become that inspiring teacher and inspiring coach like you're talking about?
So I grew up with a long story. I won't get into it, but I lived with my best friend growing up in high school. His dad was our high school coach. His name's Scott Barton, and my best friend, my brother, Nate Barton. And so I lived in the home of a high school coach. And so I kind of saw, to me, coaching is teaching at its core. And so to be an inspirational teacher, I feel like you have to sit in and I'll just use the classroom, Johnny, Jimmy, Sarah, and all these girls, young men, boys, girls that I had in middle school and high school Spanish. Well, now they're college age basketball players, but they all learn differently. They all come from different backgrounds. They all have different personalities. They care about different things. Yeah, they love basketball and they're trying to chase their professional dreams at this level. And they're trying to get a really good education here at Rice. So, but if you don't know and have a relationship with each one individually and know what makes them tick, it's really hard to be an inspiring teacher. And so I think that's number 1, knowing how they learn best and treating it like a class. Okay, how do I reach them? But then also, do you know what you're talking about? Are you intentional about learning your craft and leaning into your craft to be able to answer their tough questions so you can help them on this journey to be the best versions of themselves? So I think it's this whole big thing that I just equate coaching to teaching. And I think, it was just the way I was brought up in the home. I saw it modeled by a high school keyboarding teacher and a high school basketball coach. That's how he lived his life.
And I love that you said relationship, because I think it's hard to be truly inspiring, and not just like, we had a convocation. We had a great speaker come, and he did an awesome job. He was inspiring, but it was to a point, because I don't know him. I don't know him personally. He doesn't know my story. We didn't connect at all like that one-on-one. So I think that relationship is key. I don't know how we can be truly inspiring as a coach or a teacher without that. But then you nailed something too. You got to be competent. We need to continue to have, you mentioned growth mindset earlier, lifelong learners. If we look back at our practice plans from 5 years ago, or the shooting games or the drills that we're doing, and not that those things are bad, you got to throw everything out, but what are we adding? I think a great question that you probably ask your players before the summer is, what do you want to add to your game this summer? How do you want to come back different? I think that question needs to be asked to us quite a bit. But man, without, if I'm not careful, coach, I'm going to recycle those Google Drives and just change the date and throw that thing back out there again.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there's a level of, after every season, I know I try to do it, you take advantage of while it's fresh to evaluate last year. But then this time in August, 2 weeks out from the start of school, you always try to just regroup and say, okay, what did I learn? how can I get better?
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.